Hello and welcome to this month's Talkin Blues. I'm Keith Wyatt, and the subject this month is going to be a couple of chords that you should have in your repertoire. Talking about the 6th chord and the 9th chord. Now, depending on the style of music you play, you might already know these chords, and in fact when I teach blues here at Musicians Institute, these are the first 2 chords that I teach. When you learn chords in general, the usual rule is that you start with triads and then you learn 7ths and so forth. And so 6ths and 9ths are a little further down the road usually. But in the styles that we sort of lump together under the title Americana, these chords are actually everywhere, and they really serve as kind of the fundamental sounds. When you talk about different types of harmony, you're in a sense talking about something that's kind of the analog of colors, you know, and you could say a triad is kind of a plain color, and as you add different tones to it, like a major 7th, starts to take on a little bit more depth and vibrancy. And so that's what we're talking about with the 6th and the 9th chords, are chords that add color to a progression. And in certain cases, it's just the right sound. And I'm going to show you a couple of voicings here that you can move around pretty easily and do some cool stuff with. All right, let's talk for just a second about the structure of the chords themselves. Now, when you build any chord, you can relate it back to the notes of the major scale, and the chord name is kind of a code for the structure of the notes as they're drawn from the scale. So when I play a major 6th chord, I'm playing a major triad, which is the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the major scale, plus the major 6th. So I've got the root, 3rd, 5th, and 6th. Now I can arrange those notes in any order I want, and that's both the good thing and the bad thing. A lot of ways to arrange them, and that can be very confusing if you look at a chord book. But we're going to limit ourselves to playing these chord voicings on the top 3 strings, and by doing that means we have to eliminate 1 note out of the 4. So when I look in that area there, and I say, how can I build that chord on the top 4 strings? Well, starting on the 3rd string, there's C, the root. There's the 3rd. There's the 5th. But I got to get the 6th in there, so I'm going to substitute the 6th for the 5th. And as fate would have it, I come up with a very convenient little shape there, 1-finger chord, which has the root, the 3rd, and the 6th of C6. I probably first heard that chord, at least when I was aware of it, in a Beatles song. Played it as the last chord, it just sounded so kind of sweet and cool, you know. But top 3 strings is all we need right here. Now, to expand and develop other voicings of that chord, I can go up the neck and say, well, here's another common shape for C, the big C bar chord up here. And again, I'm looking for the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th, and arrange them in some order. There's the 3rd, there's the 5th, or the 6th rather, and there's the octave. So there's a 6th chord, there's a 6th chord. And then continuing up the neck, equivalent to the open C chord, I get the same shape way up here. And again, looking at the top 3 strings, what I've got the 5th, the 6th, the root, the 3rd, and so 6th, root, 3rd. So 3 ways to play a major 6th chord using just the top 3 strings. Now, the companion chord that I'm going to put with that is the dominant 9th chord. The dominant 9th is a little bit more complex. It has actually 5 notes in it: root, 3rd, 5th, the minor 7th, and the 9th, which is the 2nd degree of the scale, but it's thought of as being an octave up. So when I take those notes and arrange them, again, I've got lots of options, but if I'm going to limit myself to the top 3 strings, I got to dump 2 notes. And looking in that same position there, I see I've got the 7th, the 9th, and the 5th, all lined up at 1 fret. So there's, might be familiar with that C9 chord. Now, obviously, I look at that chord and I say that's the exact same fingering as the 6th chord. This is C6, putting C in the bass so you can hear it, and this is C9. So just as fate would have it, on the neck of the guitar, those two chords are fingered identically. 6th chord, 9th chord. Well, if that's true there, I'm wondering, is that going to be true in the other positions as well? Here's C6, slide it down 2 frets, analyze it, that's the 9th, the 5th, and the 7th. Well, sure enough,